Hi. In a recent video, somebody asked me for more detail on how I was using regular expressions in a text editor to edit subtitle files. And I think the intention here was that they could just start to use regular expressions within text editors rather than trying to create programs to do that for them. Most modern text editors support regular expressions. If you're on Windows, then I recommend you use something called Notepad++. If you're on Linux, then there's a plethora of things you can use, Emacs or Vim or the built-in text editor for Mint like I use. And so what I'll do today is I'm going to show you some regular expressions and how I build up this subtitle file from in the text editor, but I'll focus mainly on the regular expressions I'm using to replace text. So here is an example of a subtitle file which I had generated using Amazon Transcribe, and it generated this SRT file from a set of an MP3 that I had uploaded that had a set of sentences being read out, and it translated these into the actual text. But what I want is something like this. Something that has a Korean font, but also showing the English translation at the same time in this font, but a different font size and a different color. Now that's easily done, but if you'll notice in this original one, it just has the text, and so it is going to use the default font for whatever audio program you're listening on is using. So to change this, we just need to insert things before and after the font definition, which are like HTML tags, and I'm going to need a second one here as well. So to do this, the first thing we need to do is notice that I want to ignore anything that begins with a number, okay? And what I actually want to focus on are things with characters. So I don't want blank lines, and I don't want things beginning with numbers. So that's my first definition of what I want. So in this particular editor, I press the search tool, and I go down here and I click on the regular expression function. It does case sensitive or whole word or word wrap or all sorts, but I want regular expressions in this example. And what I'm going to search for is I want to start at the beginning of the line. Now, for just about every set of regular expressions, and they can differ depending on the software you're using, but for the most part, the caret is the start of the sentence, and a $sign is the end of the sentence. So again, we want only the start of the sentence, but we want to ignore anything that has a digit. Now in regular expressions there's a number of pre-built things that you can use. So a \t is a tab, a backslash with an n is a new line character, a backslash with a d is a digit, usually backslash s is a space, or you can do \s white space. It does depend on the editor that you're using, which one this is. Now, one other thing that this caret character is for is not only is it used to show the beginning of the line, it's also used as the not expression. So here in this example, what I'm saying is I want things that are not digits. So this text editor has highlighted for me things that are not digits, right? Which is fine, that's what I want. So if we go back down here, the other thing that a regular expression will do for you is it'll allow you to capture the things that you want to capture. And you do that by putting them inside of parentheses. So in this example, what I want is I actually want this. And what this regular expression is telling us is at the beginning of the line, capture everything between these parentheses, which is not a digit, not a space, and anything else. So let me explain this expression to you. The things inside the square braces are, they sort of mean this or that. So I'm saying a W or a E or a T or an X. And a plus sign says one or more of those letters, right? Which of course we don't have, but but that's what that's saying. So this is lines where there is no digit or space and more than one of them, one or more of them. So it is going to ignore the line with the 71, and it's going to ignore the blank line above it. And what we get is it's highlighting the text. Now what I want to do is I want to replace this text so that it is like includes this sort of font size thing. So I want to replace that text in the front with the font size and the color identifier, and at the back I want to add in the end font tag. Okay, so how do I go about doing that? Well, it's actually pretty easy. What I do is I just put in the replace with all of the font stuff that I want and a \1. Now the \1 is telling the program to take all of these things that I found in my regular expression and substitute them down here. So if we hit the replace button, you can see now that it has gone through and it has changed all of the sentences and pushed out in front of it this, in front of it, oops, it has pushed in the font size and line that I wanted, and it added the end of font tag to the end, which is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. But let's now address the fact that I want also, in addition to this, to replace this blank line with a placeholder. So one of the problems that I've got here is when I ran my replace with statement before, I actually added 2 new line characters, right? Which I don't actually want 2 new line characters. So I've now got to get rid of those, and I've got 1, 2, 3 gaps. So what I can do here is I can search for 1, 2, 3, 4 new line characters, and I'll just replace that with 1, 2, 3 new line characters, and that basically deducted 1 from everything. But in fact, what I really want is just one blank space. So now you can see that I've only got one blank space between each one. So this is how you can use the special characters to look for things to replace. Now, it may be that I want to replace this line, which is actually what I wanted to do, with a placeholder. So if I now go back here, I'm going to replace that with a placeholder, but I want to add a new line, a couple of new lines here. So what this did, as you can see here, is it simply added a new line here and then put a new line character at the end and another one to create this space below it. So now I've actually got what I wanted. It's got the timings from the original, and it's got the text from the original, but I've also got this a new line, which is just a placeholder. Now I've got to manually go through this and insert the translation of this into where the placeholder is, but I don't actually have to do any more regular expression work. And in fact, the change to this file using the regular expressions, and because this text editor remembers my regular expressions, honestly, it typically takes me less than a minute, because it remembers the ones I did before, so I can pick the one I want, I can pick the replacement that I want, and it'll just do it. So if I'm doing the same type of file all the time, which I am here, then it's easy to get this by just making sure I click the regular expression, pick the one that I want, and then pick the replacement I want, and just replace everything. Now you can run into some problems here. I did in a previous file where the text starts with a number, and of course, rather than just try and do that, it was only 2 lines. I just manually edited those lines rather than try and come up with a new regular expression that takes into account these 2 lines that were an exception in a file that's 300 lines long. So it sometimes regular expressions aren't as useful if you have to work out a lot of exceptions. Okay, that's it. I hope it was useful. I hope you now have some understanding of how you can use regular expressions to find and search and replace things in a text editor. As I say, you can use Emacs or Vim or any of the plethora of text editors. On Windows, the text editor is very basic, so you want to download something like Notepad++ to do text editing. And don't forget, these subtitle files are text files. They are not Word documents. You don't want to use a word processor to edit these. You want to use a text editor. Alright, that's it for now. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, please like and subscribe and share this around. Thank you very much.